Hey, this is Notser, and we're talking about a couple premiums that we're going to be teased on the developer blog. First one is a Tier 3 Russian cruiser, VIII, I believe that's how you pronounce it. Next up, we've got a Tier 8 German destroyer, the Z or Z 39. And then there's a Tier 9. I don't know where this is coming from. I don't know, what the Tier 9 is going to be used for. It's a Soviet cruiser, Kronstadt. So I'm going to just go into each one in pretty reasonable detail. So first up, we've got the Tier 3 Soviet cruiser. Like, we need more early tier Soviet cruisers. But it's pretty easy to make. It's pretty cheap. I'm going to assume that it's not a big deal for them. But this one looks just like any other armored cruiser from World War I. It's got a little bit of a Royal Russian mystique to it. It's got some of that, the engraving and gold and stuff like that, what you expect. It is a 4-stack Soviet cruiser at Tier 3. It's got 152 millimeters, not 1252. So it's armor. It's just got a ton of armament on it. It probably moves slow. Yeah, it's a slow ship. It's a 25-knot ship. Concealment is predictable. It only can use damage control party. It's a Tier 3 armored World War I cruiser that happens to be in the Soviet, or in this case, the Imperial Russian Navy. And I wouldn't expect much from it. If you've played any of those early tier premiums, any early tier, honestly, World War I armored cruisers, they play all the same. They've got an insane amount of armor. Their gun calibers are too small. They have a ton of guns. What can I say? They fast firing. Yeah. At Tier 8, though, we have a much more intriguing ship, in my opinion. The Z39 is going to be a premium German destroyer. What happened to the Tier 6 German destroyer? Wargaming, I would really like that to go on sale so I could release my review. T61 is great. Z or Z39, I don't know. So this ship is going to have 4 150mm guns at a range of 11.8 kilometers. And because it's a large caliber, advanced firing training, basic firing training do not influence the main armament. It's got a shell velocity of 835 meters per second, which is right around where the Germans should be. And reload time is 7.5 seconds, which is a chore. And it's got a fairly slow turret traverse, 22 seconds. Torpedo tubes, typical German torpedo tubes, 90-second reload. It's got 2x4. Thankfully, it doesn't have some weird 1x4 launcher. Americans. It's not fun to only have one torpedo launcher. Cossack, ugh. It's got the ability to use hydroacoustic, engine boost, smoke generator, everything that you would expect in a German destroyer. It's just a dedicated 150mm platform. And that's interesting. I would say 150 doesn't give the ship enough. I didn't like that on the Z23. The Ernst is probably better with the smaller gun caliber, just because it's got a lot of issues. But the T61 is clearly better because it's unified in its design. Does that mean that the 150mm guns of the Z39 will be unified in their design? It doesn't really sound like it because of the turret traverse, right? And again, expert marksman doesn't benefit a large caliber like that as much. It's not going to traverse as quick as if you were to use that on something like a Soviet. A Soviet can compensate. Even the French cruiser, not the French cruiser, the French destroyer, Eagle, that can compensate with expert marksman. This cannot. So I'm curious to test it. I want the T61 to come out. Boy, wouldn't it be real? Listen, I've got insider information. Obviously, I'm holding back. I can't tell you as much as I would like, but let's say they're not happy with the T-61 and they pull it back again. They did this way back in the day with the German destroyer line. There was supposed to be a premium that came out with it, but it never did. And they changed the identity of the Germans. We all should remember they used to have a more effective hydroacoustic. They used to just be straight up better at everything, their guns and all that stuff, and they tweaked them. They pulled them back. Now everyone knows it's a torpedo-first boat with great AP when presented at broadside, and they have hydroacoustic, albeit a normal hydroacoustic, still incredibly useful. And that's the Germans right now. So for it to go to 150, it's a different playstyle from the 128 that pretty much everyone uses. There are players who enjoy the large gun caliber, and it is interesting. I just need to see if it can keep up with 128s. 7.5 second reload seems okay. Nothing to write home about, but you can't improve it anymore. Maybe with a drone rush, but that's it. So it'll be intriguing. I think its concealment can go down to, 6'1", 6'2", 6'3", that area. They're giving me stats that are all unupgraded, so it's 7.5, which is obviously the worst it'll ever be. So we'll see. The torpedo range, that's important, 8.5 kilometers. So it will be able to outrange its concealment. Just base. And then the final one, the Tier 9 Soviet cruiser Kronstadt. This one has 9 305mm guns, so it has battleship level guns. You have these at Tier 3, but it's battleship level guns. The rate of fire is 20 seconds, so very slow. Incredible gun velocity, considering the large caliber. 920 meters per second, 900 for the AP, 920 for the HE. The HE has a 24% chance to light the target on fire, which, that's where the gun caliber should be. The HE shell does 4,200, the AP shell does 9,000, and it's got pretty low armor plating, honestly. 25mm bow, so it's not as tanky as the Germans or the Americans, and that's to be expected. If they hold true to their Soviet design for the cruisers, that's where they should be. Sigma value is 1.8. So far, it's got a max speed of 33.5 knots. A surface concealment of 14.3, so that's battleship level bad. I would expect this will be seen by everyone. It's got primarily damage control party. It can choose between defensive AA and hydroacoustic. It has a spotter plane and only a spotter plane, and then it has a repair party. Its max gun range is 18.2 kilometers. And since it's a Tier 9, you will be able to improve the rate of fire with the module or increase the gun range if you so desire. So it should be better than the 20. It'll be, what is that? Was it 20% improved rate of fire? It'll be like 18 or 17-ish. That's where I think it'll be for most people. Which is okay. 305 is pretty impressive. But it's not as impressive as the battleship guns that you're going up against. So this is definitely going to sit in between a cruiser, a heavy cruiser, and what we would consider a battleship. But you should be able to penetrate targets that, honestly, you wouldn't normally be able to do that. Definitely kind of overpin some, and you'll actually get inside. I don't know if the gun caliber is enough to threaten the Citadel on battleships at different angles or more extreme angles. I would have to check that out. Honestly, what's the largest gun caliber on cruisers right now? It's was it 240? I think something like that. I mean, it's a big jump. It's a really big jump. So, and probably the biggest question: what the hell place is this gonna fit? It's a Tier 9. Is it gonna be a reward? This is what I would assume. I think this is gonna be a reward for ranked play. It'll be like, you need 10 rank 1 seasons and you'll get this as a reward. Obviously, we've got the black, the flint. The flint has been lowered in power level a little bit. The black also It still has that cheesy smoke and radar, but there's ships that are just better or equivalent. Same with Flint. You know, the Flint's okay, it's enjoyable, but it doesn't have radar, and a lot of ships do now, and it's easy to, you know, find them out. Smoke meta is not as prevalent as it once was. This seems to be just a way different identity at tier 9. Maybe it'll be better than the Donskoy. I don't really know. It looks really big in the picture. I would expect it to be big with 305mm guns. So it's intriguing. Most people will never actually have this ship, just like, you know, the Black, just like the Flint. It can't be better than what exists currently. It's variety. I would honestly, I would hate for it to be this unique and only be available to 0.001% of the population. But it's Wargaming's game. They want to encourage people to do ranked play. It just will take forever to get it. So I'm intrigued by these premiums. Can't wait to test them. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll catch you next time.